Let's just take you to Parliament now, where John Mbadi is currently addressing the press, I believe. Let's listen in.
Run for president 4 times in this country. Every time he goes to run for president, he's vetted by IBC afresh. There is no time we have concluded that since he has run several times, that he doesn't have to go through the process of vetting. You have to go through the process of vetting. And myself, this is the 3rd time I'm serving as an MP for now Sober South. But each time I go for election, I am vetted. Each time I win, I have to take a fresh oath. When someone says that this means the cabinet secretaries who are there, once if they are reappointed to their new cabinet, that they cannot be vetted, they cannot take fresh oath, is that not serious level of ignorance that I don't understand? Uhuru was in Kasarani just the other day. Purportedly, he took an oath. Why was he taking an oath again of office? And he had taken an oath of office in 2013. So when I see my colleague Duale talk that these 6 members will not be vetted, that they are not supposed to take fresh oaths, I say, fresh oath of office, I say, surely, Duale, my friend, with your position, you cannot show that level of ignorance. And I think if it is coming from some advice from Attorney General, and who I have very little respect for, because really I think Attorney General is always looking for what the President thinks and advising the way the President thinks, instead of advising this country clearly and professionally as the head of, as one we have entrusted to be the Attorney General, the one who is supposed to give his word and everyone listens. The Attorney General Githu Muigai, I know he has a lot of challenges because his office has been undermined severally. Because you bring a Solicitor General who undermines the Attorney General's office, you put advisors in the office of the President. Again, another friend of mine has been put there, called Abdikadir Mohammed, who is a very good, intelligent, a good friend of mine, very intelligent, very sharp lawyer, is put there to advise on constitutional matters. Then the question you ask, then what is Githu Muigai advising on? If there is someone advising on constitutional matters. Because I thought the Attorney General's work is really to advise government to comply to the Constitution. When you put someone to advise you on constitutional matters and you have Attorney General, but that notwithstanding, the AG has a responsibility. Instead of calling the media and addressing us on what is treason, and he has added some terminology, high treason and low treason, before he says all those things, I think he needs to first tell us,
sure, maybe you educate me on
this. Advise the government properly. Yes.
You educate me on this. When the 4 new names have been read by the CS, the nominees, the 3. Does it mean that maybe if it is vetting that has to take place, they have to be given portfolio, they just be...
I have never seen it anyway. I have never had them. I need to be educated because information is power. In fact, if you want excel in this world, there is something we call information. You need information. You need knowledge. Yeah? So I know information is power. So no one needs to tell me anywhere in the world where people have been guillotined, cabinet secretaries or ministers have been guillotined and vetted as a block. Then someone assigns them duty. I've never seen even in counties even. You have to assign portfolios. Because how then would I vet you if I don't know what you are going to do? Parliament needs to vet people looking at their competence. There are things that Parliament needs to look at in the vetting. We are not interviewing. We just look at your competence in terms of the papers that you are presenting. It's not our duty to dig again into those papers unless a Kenyan through public representation or tells us that they are doubting some of the CVs of these members. But what we need to get is the portfolio that they are going to manage, their CVs, and look at other parameters like gender representation, and you can see how Uhuru even attempted to really slight the women folk in this country. I don't know why women are still quiet. I saw Fida talking, but talking like they don't have muscles at all. There's no mfupa in what they are saying. Instead of just coming candidly and tell Uhuru off that if you had the power to appoint, and this is the way you are going to appoint, make appointments in this country, as women we are not happy, because the gender principle is a principle. Principle must be lived. It is not something that you wait, that at the end of it all we want to see that we have a third of the women. No, it is a principle that you live every day. Any decision you make every minute, that principle must be seen in that decision. So if you ask me, the portfolios, yes, needs to be specified clearly. The members of parliament, if they are supposed to vet, would vet based on the portfolios, would vet based on ethnic inclusivity or the balancing, because the cabinet should show the face of Kenya. There should be gender represented. And I hope after Raila is sworn in on 30th of January, that in his cabinet, he will be much, much more serious than Uhuru attempted to do.
Yeah, maybe Mheshimiwa, for our sake.
Because you are late,
yeah.
NTV.
Yeah, especially on the talks you had with Godec, maybe you could give us a...
Yeah, this now actually the fourth time I'm giving this brief, but I'll give it because you are my friend. You are my friend, so but don't, you are live. Okay, then I'll now get back to business. Yes, I want to be very clear that this meeting, which we had with the U.S. ambassador, His Excellency Godec, was requested from the embassy last week. They asked my office if they could, the ambassador could pay me a courtesy call. I said yes, and we slotted the meeting for 9:30 to 10:30. We held about 40 minutes meeting with the ambassador. Largely, we discussed the role of parliament in democracy, and a lot of discussion went around the independence of parliament, the independence of parliament, more particularly given that this is now a presidential system. In a presidential system, it is expected that parliament is a bit divorced from the executive, unlike the parliamentary system. So he wanted to get my view and my thoughts on how we are going to enhance and ensure the independence of parliament, which will involve both minority and majority side, and both also more importantly, the Speaker of the National Assembly has a crucial role to play in ensuring that independence. We also talked about the issue of you see, the majority has most of the chairs, if not all, of the departmental chairs of committees. The minority side does not have, is not controlling the committees. But as it is in the American model, there is always what we call the ranking members in each committee. I have witnessed that. I have been to the Congress and I've witnessed that, and it's working perfectly well. So our system, you can call it shadow chairs, but I want to call it the ranking members of committees. We will have ranking members of each and every committee, and we'll have caucusing, our caucuses as a minority, to make sure that we generate legislations that are going to find their way on the floor of the House. The other thing that we discussed concerning Parliament is the issue of corruption and how to curb it, starting from within Parliament, and then extending it out. Because if Parliament is not free from corruption, then you don't expect it to provide oversight role effectively. So that took us to the national concern of where are we and where are we heading to as a country. I want to make it clear that this is what I said, and I want to repeat it, that if you don't sort out the confusion in the executive, then certainly Kenya can't move on. Even Parliament can't discharge its functions, because over 90% of business that is transacted in Parliament is largely generated from the executive. So there is need to sort out the messes in the executive. We need to be clear on where we are going. And I clearly again put on the table the 5 issues that NASA has and asked the ambassador if anyone has issues with that. Because issues of electoral justice, issues of electoral reform or deepening it or strengthening it, or what I would say fortifying it, need to be addressed. The issue of the judiciary and its independence, how to defend it, needs to be discussed. The issue of the security of our police service needs to be reformed and made more proactive and responsive to people's needs. We've talked, I've also mentioned the issue of devolution. I've mentioned the issue of governance, that the structure of government. Do we have to go back to parliamentary system or hybrid system, the French model? So these are issues that I said, for me, I don't think there's anything wrong. Probably some international members of the international community get jittery when we talk about the swearing in of our president and his deputy. But that is just an issue. The bigger issue is all these reforms. And I was also very clear that what we want is not inclusion in government. We don't want to walk into Uhuru Ruto government. Neither do we want them.
Support of the swearing in.
Is not in support. The ambassador's position is that we need to find another way of addressing this matter because elections were conducted despite the challenges, but there were elections. But so he has made it very clearly and publicly that he's not for the swearing in. So you didn't expect him to change his mind here. But I've also told him the mind of NASA and my individual mind also as a member of NASA and as a supporter of NASA and as a leader within NASA coalition in Parliament. And I've expressed to him my fears that the NASA supporters are very angry. Actually, they are even angry that their president doesn't want to take an oath. Yes. And that is not... You can't suppress their anger. That is the mistake we have been doing in this country, that you suppress the anger of Kenyans.
So did he offer maybe to mediate in the negotiation?
No, he was... No, actually, the ambassador has said that he's in constant communication and discussion with the leadership from both sides, and he expressed his hope that there will be a breakthrough soon. His only concern, which he expressed, is that both sides seem to be having different versions of what the nature that the discussion should take.
So should Jubilee maybe invite you to fill some of the slots remaining in the cabinet as the opposition?
I have said, and I want to repeat it, we cannot join Uhuru Ruto government. And if there are people who want to join that government, they are individuals. I don't think majority of us in NASA want to join Uhuru Ruto government. We are not interested in dishing out positions. And I want to be clear to you that I have told even the ambassador that the biggest problem we've had in this country is that we start the discussion of the problem affecting this country at a wrong time, either just before election or immediately after, in which case we end up just discussing positions instead of discussing the fundamental issues that affect this country. I would give you an example. When Eugene Wamalwa goes to Vihiga and is chased there from a function, we need to ask ourselves, what is this anger that Vihiga people have? It is not Eugene Wamalwa they hate. They are demonstrating and expressing their anger because Eugene is associating with a government they don't like. It is not even about Mudavadi, whom we know very well. Mudavadi cannot organize a heckling of anybody. We know these leaders. Instead of burying their heads in the sand, instead of burying our heads in the sand, we need to be very candid with each other and realize that those people are expressing their anger because they don't like Jubilee. And this they even demonstrated on 26th. Only 4% of Vihiga turned out, if we are to rely on those statistics, turned out on 26th to vote for president. 94.6 did not. So what does that show you? That is hence the anger you saw. So as a country, we need to really be candid with each other, my brother.
Yeah, maybe finally, what can you say about the disagreements out there? What seems to be a disagreement in NASA about some of them telling Raila to be sworn in, others are telling him to hold on?
You know, I don't know who are these who are disagreeing, who are saying Raila should hold on. Apart from some people just assuming in their heads that there could be division in NASA, hence the failure to for Raila to be sworn in. I don't think there is any division. No. Can you quote one leader whom you think has come out publicly?
In fact, some of the advisors have been telling him to hold on for a while.
No, that is not true. Who are these advisors? I know they're all Raila's advisors, and I have not heard any saying he should hold on. In fact, we think he's delaying us. Majority of us feels Raila has delayed us too much, and he should not continue delaying us. So whoever is telling him is saying that there are people who are telling Raila. There have been a lot of rumor flying around. G family members are saying, how would you know when someone is discussing with his family members to report? You know, you even quote that Ida has told Raila. How do you know when even Mbadi cannot know what Raila discusses with Ida? You know, it should also sometimes to be fair. It should be fair to the leaders. How would you know that Ida has now told Raila don't be sworn in? I think it's just speculation.
Thank you.
Karibu. Haya, you can now go, one.
All right, the MP there of Suba South, John Mbadi, addressing the press on various issues. He did have a meeting this morning for about 40 minutes with the US ambassador, that's Bob Godec. Mbadi says that the meeting was requested by the ambassador himself. They discussed the role of Parliament in democracy and also the independence of Parliament. In addition to that, Mbadi did say that the confusion in the executive needs to be sorted out, and also he talked about the gender issue in the cabinet and also said that there is no division in NASA.